Namaste. In a previous video, I sought to clarify a misquoted statement of mine that was published in the Wikipedia page on Ayurveda. In the last few days, the Ayurvedic community has been extremely disturbed by the gross misrepresentation of facts on the Ayurveda page in the Wikipedia web platform. I want to highlight the fact that what the editors of this Wikipedia page have done is nothing but what is called as cherry picking. You have your prejudices, you have your preconceived notions and biases, and you go about picking up information conveniently, blissfully ignoring any piece of information or fact that might contradict your own beliefs. And then you go on to stitch up a story with all this information and you project your misconstrued ideas about something like Ayurveda, for instance, and give a message to the global community that Ayurveda is a system that is unscientific or pseudoscientific or proto-scientific. So I want to point out here how easy it is for anybody to do this activity. If I had access to an influential page like the Wikipedia page on Ayurveda, I could also construct, a story which will malign, the credibility of even modern medical systems. I want to really highlight here that I'm not against any medical system. I strongly believe that the experience of humanity throughout its long evolutionary history all have, value in their own place, and we need to find out ways and means of how we can streamline all this valuable knowledge for, the well-being of the people. I'm definitely against the war between medical systems, which is nothing but, a fight for territorial, control. But here, just for the sake of illustration, please imagine if I came up with some propositions that modern medicine is pseudoscientific and that the practice of modern medicine is actually harmful to society and that actually the existence of modern doctors are contributing to the mortality of the people. Now, with this proposition, I want to show you how easy it is for me to construct a page with more than enough evidence to justify my positions. And I am quite surprised to see that it's even more easier to picturize modern medicine as pseudoscience than Ayurveda, because the wealth of literature, the wealth of information that is available in support of this idea is much more than is available for Ayurveda. So let me begin. Here is a book, and the title itself is quite revealing. Cure to Death, the Effects of Prescription Drugs. This is the work of two authors, Arabella Melville and Colin Johnson, on the basis of their elaborate studies on how prescription drugs are affecting the quality as well as a span of life of the population across the world. They came to the conclusion that, the effect of modern medicine can be, graphically summarized with this phrase, rather, cured to death. Now, it does not stop here. I was very surprised to see a story with a very striking title: When Doctors Go on Strike, Patients Stop Dying. So this is a paper which was published in a prestigious academic journal, Social Science and Medicine. This is the study or an analysis of 5 physician strikes around the world between 1976 and 2003. And this paper shows, with data of course, that whenever physicians around the world, modern allopathic physicians, went on strike around the world in different countries, the death rate actually came down significantly. So it meant that when doctors were not seeing patients, when they were not giving out their treatments, the mortality rate actually came down. So Ayurveda has been accused, practice being proto-scientific, research being pseudo-scientific. So if the absence of medical doctors is leading to reduction in death in the population, then is this not an even more powerful indication that, what is going on in the name of modern medical practice is nothing but pseudoscience? Here is another interesting paper. This appeared in the British Medical Journal. The medical era, or the medical profession itself, is the third leading cause of death in the United States. So after heart disease and cancer, the doctors are themselves the cause of death. Now, how can you call the practice of medicine scientific if it is contributing to the mortality of the people? As we go on further, you might then argue that, of course, there may be problems in practice, but the body of knowledge that has been generated through meticulous research, that's really very scientific. I'm not sure, because here we have editors of prestigious journals like the New England Journal of Medicine and the Lancet confessing that, at least more than 50% of what is there in scientific literature cannot be believed, that it is false. In Nature, a survey was published in 2016 which reported that researchers are unable to reproduce over 70% of the findings of other scientists. So what's there in scientific literature, in prestigious indexed, high impact journals around the world, cannot be fully trusted or believed. I mean, this led Richard Horton, the editor of the Lancet, to even make this very disturbing statement that science has taken a turn towards darkness. And he clearly says that definitely at least perhaps half of the scientific literature that's available is simply untrue. So this is the state of the academic scientific information that is available. So Ayurveda was accused of being unscientific in its practice, pseudoscientific in its research. And if you look at these kind of information that is available, from very reputed, published, these are all insiders' view. These are not criticisms from outside. Modern medicine is also definitely not in a higher pedestal. I was recently just reading earlier this month an interesting story in the Met page today. Academic medicine since set stage for the HCQ cult. So the authors in this article are pointing out that this game of finding p-values of less than 0.05 and then making exaggerated claims has become part of the culture of academic medicine. That is, medical schools and biomedical research organizations. So here they are highlighting the case of statin. So, in the case of statin, most of the studies have around 2,000 patients per group, the statin group and the placebo group. And what we actually see at the end of the study is that there may be a 1% difference in the incidence of heart attacks between the statin group and the placebo group. And this, yields a p-value of less than 0.05. Now, once you get this p-value, advertising and propaganda takes over. This is now extrapolated, and the projections are made that actually statins are able to reduce the risk of heart attack by more than 30%. This is a patently false belief. This has been pointed out by many critics, within the field of medicine and science. So if you were to stitch up such information together, it's just child's play to project, modern medicine as actually pseudoscientific in its practice, unscientific in its academic, efforts to generate evidence. And it becomes so easy to mislead and paint a very negative picture of this medical system in front of the public. But that's not the intention. I'm giving this just as an example to show how cherry picking can be done. The war is not between medical systems. The war is against irrationality. And we need to make sure that, the best of all medical systems, of all healthcare systems around the world are streamlined, are harnessed in public interest, for the better good of humanity, for the health of the people of the world. And for that we need an open mind, a balanced approach, and which is what is always emphasized in Ayurveda. We don't believe that any medical system is complete and perfect. There are imperfections. But to purposefully malign a particular medical system, and through this exercise of cherry picking, ignoring, information that definitely point in the opposite direction, betrays the malicious intent of the editors of this page and their agenda to project Ayurveda in a derogatory manner. This cannot be accepted. So we'll discuss more about this in due course. Namaste.